Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. I have Megan with me. Hi Megan, how are you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm doing amazing, right? At Chicago, just planning to wrap up and go back home. That's what I'm waiting for. But apart from that, all good. Thank you for taking your time out to do this podcast with us, Megan. We really appreciate it.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here and to talk with you today for a little bit and share some of my story.
True pleasure. So, who Megan is? Megan is the Chief Impact Officer of Unitus Credit Union, based in West Coast. She spent almost close to a decade with Unitus, prior to which she has spent years with IBM and prior to that with Wells. So she has seen the large bank world as well as IBM, and then she moved to Unitus. So that's a quick introduction of Megan. Megan, obviously, I cannot sum up your entire career in this 30 seconds. If you want to add something, please feel free.
I started my career in the big banks. I worked through Wells Fargo, Bank of America, IBM, and invested most of my career in lending, which brought me to Unitas to help start their loan administration team here. But yeah, the mission side of the credit unions, what's really kept me here, and I've loved my career on the credit union side.
So, I mean, you studied literally Spanish and English in your college, right? So, how did you end up in banking?
Yeah, by accident is the answer. I went to college and applied for and was accepted to grad school to become a teacher. I always wanted to be a high school teacher. I did student teaching in my last year of my undergrad and realized quickly that teaching wasn't a career for me. So, looking at graduation a month later, I realized I had no path forward. And I had the opportunity to travel to Guatemala as a translator for a medical team. So, at that point in my life, I'm 21. I have no college future and I can speak Spanish. So I thought, why not? And I went there for a few months and realized, well, gosh, I don't like medicine either. So I came back and did some odd jobs with a roommate who led a temp agency at the time. And she said, gosh, Megan, I have this job in a financial institution I can't fill. Can you do it? It's a 30-day contract. And I said, I don't know anything about banking, Jackie. She said, yeah, but you're smart. You can figure it out. And that 30-day contract turned into my career. So I arrived here completely by accident, but I love financial services and I'm so happy I'm in this industry. But it definitely wasn't my plan growing up as a little girl or in college. You know, our paths take us where we're meant to be sometimes.
I'm sure I think all of us are accidentally in credit unions. None of us just planned. We just got into credit unions. I absolutely agree. Right now, you spent good number of years with Unitas with a very fast track career, right? So you had, I think, been promoted like 6 or 7 times at Unitas within a short span of like 8.5, 9 years. So what has been your journey so far, Megan, at Unitas? What do you do out there? How have you been moving constantly very fast and reaching the sea level within 8 years of joining it?
Yes, I'll start by saying at Unitas, I found a great organization that really develops and invests in their people. That is a gift. I worked at a lot of
Right.
other financial institutions, as we mentioned, and not all cultures and managers believe in that. And we really have a culture that believes in that. So I've
Sure.
taken advantage of that opportunity and also built a few of my own along the way. So I have that going for me. But I came to Unitas again. They were starting and launching a loan administration team. They didn't have it before. They were growing quickly, and the chief lending officer Brian Devereaux at the time saw the need for that. So that was my first start, was really creating a team and helping offer that and teach that and bring that along with the organization. But honestly, just my curiosity and raising my hand to volunteer, whether that be for different projects, different teams, highlighting opportunities, allowed me to be in conversations that I wouldn't otherwise have been in. I would say that's been the best skill set that I bring that's helped both our organization and my development. It's my confidence and willingness to say, hey, I have an idea. Or gosh, I don't think this is going very well. Have we thought of this? And now that I've come full circle and I'm on the leadership team and I'm working with such a wonderful group of people, I will say I look for those same people that are willing to say, this is happening and it's not the best experience or time, but really my curiosity and willingness to say, I'm not an expert in this, but I know I can learn it and I'm willing to take on the challenge has opened doors for me. And I also have a leadership team and a CEO and a great boss that supports and encourages that. But that's a gift to find an organization like that that really promotes that and encourages that.
Absolutely, I understand. So, what because I mean, your role is a chief impact officer. That sounds very fancy, but what do you do out there?
Yeah, it's a new role at Unitus. We've been
Oh,
developing it and working through it. So I would say a lot of my career at Unitus has been in new roles. So it's been really fun to blaze new trails alongside the vision of my CEO and our EVP here at Unitus. But it started back when we launched our strategic partnerships team. We are a very community focused, mission driven credit union. And I had the opportunity to start supporting that, leading lending through different projects. And that mission side of the business kept pulling me and kept pulling me. I really saw the expertise I had and the years of experience I had in financial services coupled with my passion for community as this perfect coupling. I get the banking side, but I love the people side. So how can we utilize both to really create a pathway for wellness? So we started the strategic partnerships team to be more intentional and create action plans and partnerships that support that. And I was able to pull in that lending background to say, how do we create more doorways for capital? How do we create more opportunities for loans and lending and generational wealth for all in our community? And as we developed and built that and understood that this really just ties back to our strategy, it's not just supporting our mission, it's supporting our return on investment too. Those are and statements. They're not or statements. And we were able to demonstrate that. So we built then this division, the impact division. And what that looks like every day is I get the privilege to manage community development at Unitus, financial wellness, project management, our strategic partnerships. But it's really that lens of the credit union where we're able to look at how can we take community mission and innovation and move things forward. We're really leaning into doing that and creating partnerships. The best part of it though is I get to work across the credit union and so do my teams. So where lending lives in lending and they play such a critical role, or the branch network, I have so much fun because I get to truly work from people and culture to accounting to lending to everything in between. And it's just a great opportunity to truly see each corner of the credit union and the value they bring. And then we get to try and pepper in our work along the way.
I understand. So that really explains your role very well. I mean, very well in depth. Thank you for sharing that. Right. Uh, Obviously, since you manage strategic partnerships, I want to ask you a question about that. Obviously, you work with a lot of fintech partners, right? So, what do you think makes a good partner versus an average one?
Ooh, that's a tricky question.
And candid. That's it's a candid chat.
It's true though. There are partners that just really grow with us and are outstanding, and there's others where they may start as a strong partner. It seems like it's a good partnership, but as you mentioned, aren't always as fruitful. I would say, especially I'm speaking not just from my Unitus hat, but I manage vendor and outsource management at IBM was one of my roles. What makes a great partner or vendor, as other businesses call it, is truly someone that really grows with you and understands your business. So for instance, a credit union is very different than a bank. Now, we still need to compete in the same space and have the same products, but understanding where we come from,
Very different.
what our vision is so important because that product has to align. Credit unions are unique in the sense that we are so grounded in our mission that we have to align with those vendors the same way, which is why we call them partners. We truly need to align in all aspects. So, and then I would say, secondly, it's nice to have a seat at the table, not necessarily a board seat or be a part of a committee, but having opportunities where we can at least influence or provide feedback and have that feedback acted upon is really important. I can't tell you how many times you speak to the black hole of giving advice or saying where there's member service failures and they tell you that, okay, we're going to add that to our roadmap. I mean, for me, hearing that is telling me it's going in a garbage can, right? Where it's going to live forever until someone forgets about it. So being able to truly influence or at least provide feedback and have a seat to bring along makes a huge difference. So I will give a shout out. We partner with Filene, and we have for the last few years in their PhiLab program. And that's a great example of fintech partnerships where we're talking to emerging partners, providing relevant solutions. They're early on, but we're able to actively provide that in the moment feedback, and they're new enough where they can hear that, act on it, but also we can hear back from them too and say, and learn where we're behind on the curve and we need to get caught up. So not every vendor is going to be like that, but we definitely love working with those where we can participate and at least have a voice and not just be one of a million. That's just not the credit union way.
Understand. Absolutely. Now, obviously, AI is becoming one of the cornerstones that everyone has to use, right? It's no longer a good to have, but almost a must have, right? So how is Unitus leveraging AI or at least planning to leverage AI in the next few months?
Yeah, I would say that's the buzzword of the year, right? I just came back from a conference last week and their 3 keynote speakers all spoke on AI. This is definitely the new normal. I would say in a lot of ways, we credit unions are reacting. I'd love to see us get in that proactive phase, but it's moving so fast and we're still trying to catch up. But I'll speak to Unitus. We're really trying to get into that proactive phase. So we do use it and we use it in pockets and we've seen amazing value from it. So for instance, I'll give you an example. We use it in our small business lending underwriting, and we went from underwriting a few loans a year that took hours, the same amount of time as a multi-million-dollar commercial real estate loan, to underwriting hundreds a year in a matter of 30 minutes for each one. So not only a game changer for us and the resources we had to be able to provide that, but a game changer for our members and the experience. We have a similar tool that we utilize to help catch fraud that monitors a member's behaviors and can tell if a member's typing differently or certain actions. And it has been huge in us being able to stop fraud and save our members from the negative experience and possibly loss of funds. So we're using it in pockets, but what I'll say is we have 2 on our executive team, David Ferrer and Shar Sears, who are starting a center of excellence at Unitus for AI. We're just launching it this year, and that's where we're really hoping to get to that proactive stage. So where instead of us just capturing it in individual moments through a vendor, how do we want at Unitus to approach AI? How do we want to really look at it and use it smartly and I think even further, train our team to utilize the tool. Right now, everyone has different comfort levels with it and are leaning in at different speeds, but we really want to set a standard of how you work with AI and have someone train people on that so that they can go out and, confidently use it, whether they're on teller row or at the executive table and everywhere in between.
I think it's much needed, right? Having an AI strategy is much needed than using AI in silo, right? Otherwise, you'll be again repeating the same work like what we did years back of having siloed data. Now, if you have siloed AI, it's even more difficult, right? So that's great to hear the forward thinking approach of Unitus of creating an AI strategy. That's amazing.
Yeah, and we don't want one person. Let's say you have 3 underwriters and one is very comfortable and confident. And so they're using it to help with their emails and their communications and responsibly, but one maybe isn't. We want everyone to be utilizing the tool to their best advantage, and confidence or lack of knowledge or training shouldn't prohibit one versus the other. So again, this center will really help us create standards, highlight opportunities, and then roll it out in a way where everyone is thriving with the tool instead of feast or famine, who gets to it first or not, who understands it first. So it's really exciting. And again, too, I think there's some fear around this. There's some stories around this, and it will help us really explain what it is and what it isn't to our team so that they feel more comfortable with the tool going forward. But it's been, no doubt it's going to change our business and our expectations that our members have.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, changing gears a bit, you obviously mentor a lot of women in banking. That's what we know. What do you think is the most common thing that's holding them back?
Can I give you 2 answers?
Yeah, done.
Okay, first, I'd say the largest is just the imposter syndrome. I have struggled with it myself. I have two boys, by the way. I have a 12-year-old and 14-year-old boy, and I witnessed their utter confidence in things. And I always talk to my husband when I'm looking to grow or interview or, in any of those moments in my career. And his confidence in me is always more confident than me. But every woman I've mentored and every moment I've had, there's that struggle of, am I good enough? Am I ready? Am I qualified? I will say, we talked about my career movement. Each movement I've had, it's been less and less. So
Yeah.
in that ways, that's promising. I've gotten to the point in my career now where I know that if I don't know it, I can learn it, and I'm trainable, and I'm comfortable saying I don't know, but I'm also comfortable in not knowing. But I'll tell you, the first promotion I had at Unitus, where I was promoted to AVP, and my boss had told me I got the job, I went upstairs to my office, I turned in my chair so no one could see me, and I started to cry thinking, I have fooled them all. I'm not ready for this. So there's just this internal battle that we all face. I wish we could wash it away easily. I don't know if there's a perfect solution to this, but what I would tell women out there is that to remind yourselves of all the other things that you've done and accomplished. That's helped me and really helps me lead now into rooms that I historically would have been uncomfortable with, more confident, knowing that I am capable and I can do it. And then the second one that I just briefly is, we have this whole other workload of being a woman. We have children and we have jobs and we have, households and all these other things that women do and carry. And it's hard to feel like you're being successful at all of them at the same time. So I would say just giving ourselves a little grace from time to time and know that we're doing a lot, but we can lead and we can bring value no matter what seat we're at in our credit union.
And look at you. I mean, from an AVP now you are on a C level, right? So look at you, you've grown so fast. I think the most important thing is self-belief that you have right now. And again, thank you. I really appreciate for this time today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And it was great being here.